Today I have in the co-pilot seat Liam Shepherd. Liam, g'day, mate.
Good to be back.
It's good.
Been a while.
It has been a while. I feel like obviously we did the what we used to call it, the
Cabana Boys.
Cabana Boys, and then we obviously did the one where we were sitting on the balcony after, which was a while ago. But today, everybody tuning in, we're going to be talking about the 258 marathons, the runs. Liam is going to be the co-pilot and probably the most important piece of this puzzle. And we've, in our trusty little hands, got our iPhones and a heap of notes of the key areas that we're going to be talking about for how the hell this is actually going to work. Because a few things that, people always say to me, the run's going to be challenging. I'm like, the run's probably going to be one of the easiest parts. And the more we get into the logistics, the harder it appears to be.
There is a lot of driving to do. It's going to be minimum, I think there's a couple of days where it's about an hour of driving, but every other day it's about 5 to 7.
Yeah, I've got it here. The actual stats. Don't fall off your seats, everyone. But running. So we're going to be doing 2,446.31 kilometers. Is that kilometers or miles?
Kilometers.
Yeah, right. That's a few. But that's, I checked my Strava around how many I'd done over the previous 12 months, how many kilometers I'd run over the previous 12 months. And I was not even at that amount. So to put into perspective, the amount of kilometers, and if you guys watch me on Instagram, I'm always fucking running. So the amount of kilometers I've run in the past 12 months is what I'm going to be doing in 58 days.
Seems totally doable.
Very doable. But the crazy thing is Liam's going to be driving 13,731 kilometers. I don't know how many football fields that is, but that's a few. Probably 13,700 meters long. There's a few.
Yeah. What is it? 7 times more in the driving than it is in the running. So
yeah. So
I feel like I'm doing more.
Yeah, I've got the easy job. And to sprinkle in a bit of snow. Have you driven in snow before?
Yeah, I was delivering pizzas in Canada back in 2015. So.
Did you think back in the day when you were training to deliver pizza, you were delivering pizzas, you were training for this event?
That's all I was thinking about.
That's wild. You're just trying to find who's going to run it. That is...
My time will come.
What do you... firstly, I guess... I've done a bit of chin wagging on here around why I wanted to do it, but what made you want to come on it? Because you didn't even take much, you didn't take any convincing, which is pretty wild. And before Liam shares his part, Liam is going to be taking 60 days essentially, because we're going to be in Alaska earlier, 60 days of his life to come on this. That is a huge sacrifice and investment.
Missing out on Australian summer to go to Alaska in winter, and then the rest of America.
We didn't have to really say how hectic it was. Fuck.
Yeah, I didn't really give it a second thought. I thought this is going to be an interesting adventure. Why not jump in? Someone's got to drive it. I don't know who else you'd get to do it.
I literally don't have anyone else. I literally could not think of anyone else who'd do it. I couldn't think of anyone else I'd rather do it. I think it's going to be fun. People, there's a million questions I get, not really a million, but there's a number of questions I keep getting, but I'm like, the adventures that we're going to have that you can't even, there's nothing that, apart from sitting in the car, but there's going to be some fun shit, frustrating stuff, but there's going to be some experiences that you'll get to talk, we'll get to talk about for decades to come.
I think we'll try to find a gym membership that has locations across the country, and then we'll go in, just chatting to those managers that are working in there, and the reaction on their faces from what is going to be said from why we are in every single state.
Yeah, will be epic. Well, you've done a fair bit of driving around the country though, so we've pretty much lent on your knowledge and brains for the logistics, because I was just like, yeah, we'll get in a van, we'll be sweet, but there's a lot more that goes into it than just that. So give us a bit of your thoughts on it around what could be challenging, things that we've obviously spoken about since, but are important to consider on this experience journey.
I think it's a mix between trying to find the most picturesque places to do this, where the footage would be amazing to see, and not having to drive too far every day. You sort of have to just get into a state and out again fairly quickly to move on to the next one. You might want to really run Niagara Falls, but the logistics works a lot better to go into New York City instead of being up near Buffalo, and you run around Central Park, which is also an amazing landmark.
Iconic, yeah.
So you sort of pick between the two and figure out which one is going to work best for the driving time, so you're not stuck at 15 hours after getting off a run to get to the next spot. So New York, I think, was probably one of the most difficult states to get through with doing it in Central Park, actually.
Yeah,
If we had done it in around Niagara Falls, it probably would have been better, but it would have been frozen over. And
for sure. It would be iconic though.
yeah,
But we're
it's
not
like
doing
looking at the Buffalo Stadium. We'll be there around the same time as, or just after Super Bowl time. So
Yeah, legit.
it'll
Yeah.
be there'll be a lot of snow if you're going off last year. So I don't know exactly when.
We just got
We
the
need to
route.
find the route.
So we have actually mapped out the route, and it'll be on the YouTube channel as well, and we'll talk through it. I suppose we can maybe pull out some ones to talk about, but that's the thing. I was like mapping out this route, and Liam was like, "You realize we got to drive this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, "Well, have you considered the time?" I was like, "No, we can make it happen." And then obviously when you start to, I guess this was the emotions of like, this is going to be the gnarliest. We're going to hit all the cool hot spots in America, but it's just not achievable in a safe way to do it, unless you have like multiple different drivers. But at the moment the team is just us two, which is going to make it more epic of a story. But ideally we're going to have a few more people join, but there is unfortunately some places we can't hit, like even Texas. Like, where are we
Yeah.
hitting in Texas actually?
We are in
Amarillo. We drove through
We
that.
stayed in
Yeah,
Amarillo.
there was plenty of places we drove through on the recent tour with Shepherd that were like, oh, we're coming through this exact route.
That last section when we went Phoenix across to Nashville,
Yeah,
I reckon the first 4 states that we hit
like
in mainland.
Albuquerque.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Remember when we went there? I was
And
like,
run past the Breaking Bad
yeah,
house.
Breaking Bad house in winter. That'd be nice. Oklahoma City, Amarillo, how they pronounce it. Little Rock, Arkansas, Baton Rouge,
Yeah,
Biloxi.
so that's where we changed. So when we hit Arkansas and Little Rock, we went north
Yeah,
east to get back into Tennessee, as well hit southeast and head towards
yeah,
Louisiana, and then we don't hit Tennessee for another week,
yeah. And so
roughly.
for those who are maybe listening to we live in Tennessee, but we live in Nashville. We're going to heat up Knoxville because it's a college town. Be pretty badass, hopefully. Hopefully
Yeah,
we can get some people out. But even like, what are you most excited? If you look, I'll let you have a look through, and which one are you most excited to go to? And I'm pretty pumped to go to New York in winter. I think obviously we've done it in summer now, so that's cool. But even Chicago, I think will be cool because that river's like the water supposed to be frozen over. That'll be cool.
oh yeah, the lake. There's 10 states I've never been to, which I think would have to be up there in the list of places I want to see. I would like to see New Orleans, but we are in Baton Rouge, which is very close. Don't know whether we can
We might be able to
adjust that
swing
a
it.
little bit and try to
Yeah. Well,
run through the old town.
I think this is like not set in stone as well because there could be some days where shit goes wrong and we have to adjust.
Yeah, hopefully down the south things are a bit more smooth. I feel like the start of it's going to be probably the best weather for us.
Yeah, it gets colder for sure.
And if we can keep on track early on,
We got
it's
time
going to
up
make
us.
it a
Yeah,
lot better for everyone.
I'm really pumped to go to like Montana and Wyoming. I think, and like Nevada, like yeah, that whole last bit from like Colorado, Nebraska, Dakota, like those landscapes would be pretty incredible. California, yeah,
Depends where in
yeah,
California. If we're in the redwoods,
that'd be awesome.
incredible.
But we've hit a bit of a fork in the road there. Like obviously the Redwood National Park, Google it, it's pretty picturesque and beautiful. But we have realized like how far is the drive from Redwood to San Fran?
5 hours,
Yeah,
something
something
like
like
that.
that. So
Yeah,
pretty big, which means
you got to get to the airport to get to the last U.S. state
yeah,
to fly out of California at a reasonable time to make a flight. You've got a 4 hour run before it. You're already 9 to 10 hours into the day without waiting at the airport.
yeah,
So the logistics of that sort of makes it you need to get closer. You need to be somewhere closer to San Francisco to run. Santa Rosa might be a good one.
yeah. We spent some time there.
Yeah.
It's a nice spot. That can be fun. What do you think? Like, what else? Like obviously snow, driving in snow, you feel comfortable with. Like we've joked on the road. We've joked while we were doing touring with Shepherd. Like we need Liam to have a side mission because I want to like vlog it. And obviously Liam's got his own company and things to work on. Actually, how do you see it working for you in regards to one, you've got to drive, but two, you've got a company to run. How on earth are you going to do that?
Going to try to break it up into blocks of working time, efficient work time. You'll have your run of 4 hours,
Hopefully.
4 hours a day. I'm going to try to probably work for a block of 3, probably run with you for the first hour every day or the last hour, depending on what is easier.
That's a little side mission, 10K every day.
Be
in 50
600 and I was working it out the other day. It'd be 612 kilometers.
Because there's not even anyone else who could really say that. I think there's only like 4 people who've ever done the 50, 50, 50. So to do the 58 and 10K in every state, that's badass.
Yeah, and then finish off with the last one, do the whole marathon.
Just knock a fully out.
Yeah. Feel like at that point I should be able to do it.
You've trained.
I've done one before.
Yeah.
I'll get through it. Yeah, so I think I'll do like a 3-hour block of work, drive, and then before bed do another couple of hours, see what I need to be done. It is a fire business, mostly a wildfire business, so it's all summer based. There won't be a lot happening in North America in that time. It'll be all probably in the tail end of the Australian side of things.
Yeah.
So it'll be sort of February, March, where it's probably like the biggest risk of wildfires and bushfires in Australia at that time. But it's you have to install the system before the fires come through. So our main busy time of year will be sort of November, December, January, maybe into February, and we'll just have to see
what happens.
Yeah.
Play it by ear.
Yeah.
Imagine that, like I've gone out for a run and you've just ducked off to fucking go sort out a system or something. I'm like, dude, where are we? What do you reckon? Like then, okay, so from the layout, like we're tossing up between either our ideal situation for travel and sleeping is a Winnebago, like preferably one that sleeps 5 to 7 people, so that way we can have someone else that can come on the road at all times to like obviously assist in driving and whatever else, but then also ideally have a physio on board would be pretty cool, and not all have to share double beds.
Yeah, if we get, even if it was 4 single bunks, so like 2 bunks each side, that would be probably more convenient than me having to spoon you for 50 days in a row.
Well, that could actually be the real story. Like the real story is cotton, like covered up in 58 marathons in 50. I suppose we're not in a van in Australia, but wouldn't that be a treat? But 50 marathons, we could do 50 spoonings in 50 states in 50 days. That's probably never been done. I don't think. Like that would be a weird and wild experience. So that
Not with 2 brother-in-laws.
Yeah. So help us, everybody. So
that make for the perfect honeymoon for me.
Oh
hey?
fuck, wouldn't it? Well,
married a week earlier.
Liam's getting married in Mexico a week earlier, and then the honeymoon is literally coming with me. I don't know.
And then also going on the trip. Might need to be cut out of that.
That's probably going to be edited. I probably won't. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's why, yeah, so and obviously worst case as well. So, you know, I'm not committed to doing this only on the terms that we get, like all the, you know, the ideal things we need to, I guess, give us the best chance upon completion. The reason why as well, like with the Winnebago and the Comfort, is because it's going to be so physically taxing and fatiguing that you need to really prioritize recovery. And obviously with the driving and stuff, my idea is having the leg, like the compression sleeves on and trying to get as much sleep. Because what I experienced when I was doing the rowing marathons, my body was so fatigued that I couldn't get to sleep. So whenever you can sort of get, whether it's an hour or 2 hours, like that's important, rather than just saying, you know, I'm going to sleep for 10 hours a night. It's like your body doesn't just do that once it's cooked. Like it definitely does not. So the idea of having that extra additional comfort where we've got a kitchen in it so we can cook, and like we can pretty much just live out of it. We don't need Airbnbs. We can sleep in, what is it, Walmart or?
Yeah, Walmart. It sort of takes all of the stress of actually having to get to a certain point that night out of it as well, because we could pull up, sleep, get up earlier and drive the last hour before going for the run. So having something you can sleep in really gives us that flexibility. Like I was just looking at our first couple of runs here. There's a 6-hour flight from Alaska back down to Arizona, and then the next drive is 6.5 hours to get into New Mexico. I'm like, well, why wouldn't we just drive an hour and a half in the morning before your run, and then run somewhere like along Salt River,
Yep.
like what we drove
Oh
through.
yeah, that was cool. The tubing place.
Yeah. So you could do something like that that's an hour out of town or an hour and a half out of town. And then it cuts that right back down to being only a 4 hour
That's good.
or
Yeah.
5 hour trip. Yeah. We could get in the night from Alaska, get in the car and drive those couple of hours and then get up in the morning and run. There's a lot of ways to adjust if you're able to sleep in the car.
Yes.
Like Mississippi's only an hour drive to the next one. So you get things like that where you're like, oh, great. Maybe we just don't move at all after the run. We get up in
And
the
then
morning and
morning and do
drive,
that.
and you have like a full rest day rest day.
Yeah.
Of only
rest day.
running 42K.
Yeah. Far out. But
Yeah.
that, yeah, like things like that could work well. But then you also potentially like, I've never driven in the snow like long term, like especially in these conditions. So learning about how to make sure your car battery doesn't go flat and all of those sorts of things. Is it like you need to leave the car running the whole time, or do we check in at like? Because I was watching a cool vlog, I think I was sharing with you, where they just stay at vineyards, and you could like you buy a membership for whatever it is, which could be worthwhile because it looked pretty gnarly.
And you just plug in there and have some sort of heating.
Yeah, and it keeps the car looked after to a degree. So something like that. But if we don't raise enough funds for it, we're going to be getting like for those who are in Australia, a wicked camper van. For those who are in the United States, the brand is, let me just check what the brand is here. It is called Travelers Autobahn. Essentially, it has a double bed in it, and if we get the big van, it's got 2 double beds in it. Yeah, we'll sort of be a bit, be like worst case, that's what we will be doing. And, even in that case, yeah, it'll make it challenging.
I feel like there is an incentive of having a smaller car. Like the pace that you can sit at, the maneuverability, the parking, all of that sort of stuff is so much easier in a smaller van.
Well, dude, if you want to get closer to me, just say it. You don't have to talk about the small van. You just say there's one bed.
Well, we can go small and still have 2 beds.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, like that's probably something we got to think about, like especially in the snow, because we're definitely going to be moving slower in the snow.
A few of these drives
But
may say 5 hours, but they could easily turn into 7 or 8.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun. Which means, yeah, it's going to be chaotic. That, like, I think in an ideal world, this would just go super smoothly. We would have this plan. We would know that all the times we've mapped out, because we've literally got a spreadsheet that has like, go to the top. What's it got? It's got like or you speak. Yeah.
Your day, city, state, the travel time after the run, so that's the driving time, the ideal start time of the run, going off sunrise and stretching time and stuff like that, and previous days travel time, the ideal finish time for each run. Then we give us about 45 minutes to an hour of stretching and cool down before we start the next bit of driving. Then we've got sunrise. Is there a marathon route on Strava in that location? And then if it's a trail run or a road run. So we've got
most of them
are road. There's a couple of trail runs around the Carolinas.
And that probably depends as well, as if we change, we might have to. Who was it saying to us yesterday? Like even just some of the places I can just start running out of town. Like that could be.
Yeah, save 40 Ks at the other end.
Yeah,
which is half an hour of driving, something like that.
Would be nice.
Yeah, and then it's got the weather estimates, which are not tropical.
What are they?
So Alaska -7. Phoenix comes in with the coldest for some reason. Oh no, sorry, no it doesn't. Sorry, it's 11, not -11. 11 to 24, and then working our way up around the mid-teens. And then once we hit North Carolina, it starts to drop again from 18 back down to sort of 15, 13, 12s, 11s, around 10 when we get to New York, and then into the negatives pretty quickly. From -2 to -8, then on from Rhode Island around for the next 2 weeks, at least. Probably all the way until we get back to California. You won't have a lot of inflammation.
No, I definitely won't have inflammation. It's like, how do you dress for that?
There's got to be some good channels of like Reddit groups and
for
stuff like that. They'll have what you should be wearing, because you don't want to be wearing stuff that's going to overheat you, make you sweat, and then freeze.
Imagine
don't
that.
want to
You
be
just
too
come
cold
see
to
me. I'm
begin with.
like a fucking piece of cardboard on the ground.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's some pretty good sort of leggings and
Yeah.
hoods and stuff that you need to find.
Well, that's what I'm excited to get. Like, whether we find, I was going to get to a pilot, like an actual pilot hat, but I'm like, that's probably not suitable for the conditions. You probably want more of a pilot style beanie.
Yep.
Like,
Absolutely.
that's probably going to get more wear and tear than a hat that'll probably just sit in the back somewhere.
Might be able to find a beanie in every state.
Well, oh yeah, we went on a tangent. So when we were driving, we were like, we need to have like a side mission for Liam. So I was like, I'm out there ticking off kilometers, maybe. And Liam's got this obsession with Starbucks mugs. Like,
No, that is a good size.
yeah, but it's an obsession around a good size of mug. So I was like, maybe you go in search of the closest fucking Starbucks mug and come back to Australia with 58 mugs in 58 days, and hopefully Starbucks can sponsor us a coffee a day and a mug. That'd be pretty cool.
Each mug's $20. I was like, oh, yeah, it's only $20, but it ends up being well over $1,000.
So if we fall short on our budget by $1,000,
it's about $1,200 worth of mugs.
Yeah, but
and then I'd have to drink out of them consistently.
Could you imagine how, like, I'm just trying to think where the hell they would fit in the van.
It's
It'd be
a
a
lot.
cool story. I think there's got to be a side quest for you. Like, because I look forward to getting back when I'm miserable after running in the cold every day to, like, hearing a good story.
Be good if someone could come up with an idea of what I could collect.
Yeah.
Like if there was someone out there that was like, every state has this that's different, or
Oh, that's a great idea.
like maybe I was just thinking it was more like different beanies from every football team, but there's only 32, not 50.
Yeah. But maybe we could collect college ones.
Oh yeah. It will be this. Oh, the season will just finish, so maybe we can get them on sale.
Yeah, I was like, discounts for sure. Like 100%. That'll be the goer. Interesting.
Right in.
How do you, send in everyone if you've got ideas for that side quest. What do you reckon? How do you reckon you'll go not seeing Emma for 2 months? Because that'll be the longest.
By far the longest.
Yeah.
Like you and Amy with the band back in 2015, 16, you would have had more than 2 months apart.
Yeah.
But a week after the wedding, it's a great time to go away for 2 months.
It's really showing your commitment, isn't it? Like
it is.
It's even more so that she's allowing you to go.
Well, to be fair, it was going to be starting in April.
We did drag it forward. Yep. Carry on.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be different. It's I feel like luckily we're confident and comfortable enough with each other to allow each other the space and not be overbearing.
Yeah.
And like not wanting to text or call or anything all the time. Like I have in previous relationships, I feel like there was a lot more of a like, what the fuck are they doing? Like I want to be right, like know what they're doing, talk to them all the time. I don't know whether it was more of a jealousy thing or a lack of trust, where you're like, what are they up to? If they're texting me, they can't be doing anything else. This is all just coming to my head right now.
Yeah,
maybe I haven't really thought about this too well.
Maybe they're watching a video next to their other boyfriend.
Yeah.
A movie. Fuck, a video.
VHS.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in that sense, it's easier, I guess, in a way, but also 2 months is a long time.
It's huge.
Yeah. We've done 2 or 3 weeks, maybe.
I reckon the most you guys have done is like 2, yeah.
Oh, they came back for the Savannah and the Reef.
But when did they do? Yeah, but I think
days.
like, remember when the girls went to Nashville? That would have been for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah. So Amy went on the riding trip and Emma went with him.
So that would have been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That was the best 3 weeks of our life. No.
We played a lot of golf.
Yeah, fucking right. We did.
Maybe that's what I could collect. A golf ball from every state.
That's actually a good one.
Ripper.
That's $1 a ball.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's cheaper and smaller.
And I like it. You're going to be walking around with 58 balls in your bag. Maybe 60.
Yeah, I like that. We find like a nice maybe you could run.
What about
at golf courses?
Golf. Just this is a segue or a side note, but like we were looking at playing golf in Mexico for your wedding. How much was it?
The Mexicans must have some cash to blow on golf.
It's like,
It was the cheapest one was 380 Aussie for 18 holes.
like, who's playing around a golf at that? I wouldn't be
Must be
buying a beer with it.
no, must be a lot of rich Americans coming down to Mexico to
Yeah,
play golf.
that's fucking wild.
Mm,
Absolutely wild.
yeah, I do like that. It could even just be a tee. Like they
I'm gonna
make
write
pretty
that
nice
down.
tees.
Liam's side quest. We need to Google the golf courses then as well ahead of time.
Oh, that just make me jealous.
Yeah, let me.
They might also be closed in winter. That might be our issue.
Well, that like go dig through snow. That's going to be not hard to find a golf ball.
I've got to find my own golf ball.
That
I can't
is
even
cool,
buy
yeah.
one.
That is cool.
Budget is tight.
Liam's side quest. Get golf ball. Every state. All right, we've got it. But still, if you have better ideas, send them through. Send them through. What else haven't we quickly brushed over? Where are we? Here. We've done obviously a bit on the route, which is cool. What do you think? Okay, from like you've trained a lot with me over the last 6 years. We've done like 12-hour challenges together, road marathons, run marathons. What do you think is going to be some of the biggest challenges I'll face?
I think if there was a lot of people in the car at all times, that would annoy you a lot. So I feel like if there's a definitely happy medium of the amount of people in the crew,
Yeah,
like if you had 4 at all times, I feel like that could be
too much.
overwhelming. 3 is probably okay for stints, and if it was just me and you can sleep in the back. So I'll
Yeah.
just put the headphones in and drive and not make any noise anywhere. We'll be okay.
Yeah, no one would kill each other.
Probably the food situation too, I think. It's probably going to be tough to keep the amount of energy getting to you. You get full quickly.
Yeah, I get full way too quickly. I need to I might actually YouTube what's the hot dog guy?
Joey Chestnut?
Yeah, Joey Chestnut. I might take a diet plan from him because he's still not a big boy, but he can eat.
Mm.
And that's what I need to do. I need to train to eat. I think is going to be challenging. The other thing that I think is going to be a fun learning experience for us as well as documenting it. So once again, if we don't raise enough capital to have a documentary dude or a videographer, doing it ourselves. So I'm literally watching like 1 to 2 documentaries a day on like this style of stuff and seeing the shots that they take, how they tell the stories. But then also like watching how you can do it with just yourself and like learning. So I think that's going to be wild to do that. Like I'm literally at the moment testing using ChatGPT, being like, this is what my day involves. This is the key point that I want to get across. Write me a script, tell me what shots I need. And it's doing it. So we'll see whether I learn and whatever. But I think that'll be cool for us as well when we're 70.
Having 2 months of fully documented life.
That'll be wild.
Hopefully I'm good enough behind the camera.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you will be the people who decide that. Okay. If he's shit, tell him.
Yeah. Tell me early too. Don't tell me on day 58.
Yeah, don't be like, oh, I think the camera dude could have really sorted his stuff out. If you think it's shaky or wobbly or bad shots or lighting, feed it to him.
Yeah.
Absolutely feed it to him. I think this is, and I don't know whether I've told just before we wrap up, there's multiple reasons why we're doing this, right? One, because we've got nothing to do in America. 2, no, I'm kidding. But 2, it's going to be a wicked experience. Like I'm genuinely excited for it's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't feel we'll ever get the opportunity to just have 2 months together doing something like this ever again, which I think will be gnarly. Thirdly is like there's always an opportunity to grow out of it. And I want to learn from like the Iron Cowboy who's leveraged this and what he already loved and has a skill set in to be able to do it with ourselves in terms of whether it gets us speaking around mindset or even logistics. Like the logistics that go into this would be fucking mental to then turn it into a business. So like Liam's not getting paid, obviously, either am I. None of us are getting paid. We're just sucking it up. But we've got like the idea that if I do public speaking and stuff off the back of it or podcasts, which it will always be better, the two of us doing that anyway, is we'll split all of that, which will be sick. So I wanted to share that because I think there's people who don't do these things because of cash or they're like, I can't afford to pay a friend or anyone. And it's just like, I think the importance of being resourceful and learning how to still achieve what you want, which is this a cool experience. But then if there's something that can come off it, like what does that then look like? And I know there's a lot of people who will want to hear this story if we make it through.
Well, there's a lot of people that have said you can't do it, so they'll want to watch.
Yeah, and all you people who say I can't do it, fuck you.
Watch him.
Yeah, I love it when people tell me I can't do it. And I don't mean that. I take that back. I've probably never said anything like that on the podcast, telling people to give. I don't mean that, but it's going to happen. So you're welcome. That's it. Costs, we don't really need to break through the cost, do we? It's going to be expensive.
Yeah, probably fuel, rent, the cost of the car, and then flights.
Flights in Australia is going to be stinging.
Yeah,
and just food as well. Like that's where once again it comes in helpful for us to have a smaller crew, because if we're eating, $100 each worth of food a day, like obviously that's Australian dollars. I'm budgeting everything in Australian dollars as well, because Americans pretty much double it. We'll be eating a fair bit, and then obviously, yeah, if like we have to keep the van on, we're going to chew through more fuel, coolant, servicing. Shoes, I've got to have like, if you get 400 kilometers of a pair of shoes, then I need at least 6 shoes, but then you take into account, wet weather and whatever. So we'll see.
yeah. I think I don't know if you got into the Australian side of it much.
No.
You mentioned it once or twice. I don't know how much you've actually said.
I've not said much. So
where the last 8 states come from, where there's only 50 in America.
People are blowing up on on YouTube. They're like, mate, there's only 50 states. I'm like, I do know that. Like,
I didn't come out and make this thing and find 8 states just to run around.
I'm running some twice.
Yeah. Well, the last American state is Hawaii. And then get on a flight and have the lovely 10-hour flight back to Sydney to then keep going for another week.
Oh, quickly, what do you think? Because I did bring this up about the time zone thing.
I think you got to go every 24 hours. I know you will miss a date. So
on Strava, and Stravians will fucking kick my ass.
Well, do they miss it? Does it miss a date for them as well? Because when you run, if they're in one spot, and everyone watching this will be more than likely just in one spot, they'll be at home finishing work.
But if you go on my Strava, like to look at my profile, it'll say, just like in how Whoop screws up the technology, where it's like,
does it miss the day?
Yeah, because it misses the day on Whoop as well.
But I wonder if it all adjusts for when you get, because it's just showing every 24 hours you've had a run. Maybe you need to call Strava.
Yeah, I think anyone from Strava listening, please help us.
Because you'll have, if we go off the flight that we took from Hawaii last week, you'll run in the morning, get to the airport at 11, fly at 1 Hawaiian time, I'd say on the Wednesday, and then land at 9 p.m. on the Thursday, which is still only the 10 hours and only 14 hours since you last ran. If you sleep for 8, get up and run again, you're still in the 24-hour loop. I hope everyone listening to this is following along and it's not just all in my head. But I think you have to stay at the 24-hour mark. I don't think you can get up off a plane and run 2 full marathons in the same day.
Are you telling me I can't?
I feel like if you're going to get the last 7 done, you don't want to have to run 2 in a row on a day.
Yeah, after a big flight.
After a 10-hour flight. You get into Sydney at 9:30 or whatever time we landed, 10 o'clock. Decent night's sleep. Get up at 5 and run then. And you're only 7, 10, 17 plus 3. You're sitting at about the 20-hour mark from when you last finished your run.
True.
And you'll finish that next marathon within 24 hours of finishing your last one. And everyone that's sitting at home that looks at their phone 5 p.m. every day and says that Lockie's ran a marathon, it'll still just show another one.
True.
It's no one else will know any different. It'll be every single consecutive day for every person in America and in Australia. It's just for us that cross the date line. In our head, we lose a day, but
we could just use a Garmin tracker or something, like have some form of clock.
What you need to do is watch that movie Around the World in 80 Days. They have this issue as well.
That might be on tonight's list.
Yeah, great movie. They go around in a hot air balloon. But
did they make it? What
we
was
have to
it?
wait and find out.
Shit. I'll report back next week, everyone.
Yeah. I think it's the only
option.
Reasonable way to do it. It's if you're going for a Guinness World Record, they would more than likely stipulate every 24 hours you have to run one if you're crossing the date line. You can't just run another one just because arbitrarily it's that date in that spot, not in the other.
And one final thing, we're finishing probably at the start of football season. So if anyone here plays for the Brisbane Lions or plays for the Brisbane Broncos or is in some way working for them, and you're playing a Thursday night game on the final, because we finish on a Thursday night, bring us to the game. Bring us to the game.
Run into the stadium.
That would be killer.
That's like full Olympic style.
That would be Spartan style. Like they're bringing out the new Gladiator movie, so we could just. I will have a beard by then that will look very grey. But that'll be it. But dude, I'm very excited for it, and we'll get you back on every couple of weeks if you're open to it to see what more we have figured out.
I'll be sticking around. We've got a few in a row.
Yeah,
coming up.
Got a few daily updates, but I'm excited for it. It's going to be great fun.
Yeah, me too. It'll be a whole new experience that I've not done in that way. I've done lots of travel, but not that consistently every day, which is going to be probably the biggest thing. It's probably the driving, getting up every day, having to drive,
like
and
the
having to
Truman
drive,
Show
and having to drive
in snow. It was pretty depressing when Amy and I did the radio tour in the snow, like just miserable weather. But I still think we'll have to find a way to make it fun.
We need. I was going to say we need some podcasts. If anyone's got some podcasts,
yeah, send us podcasts or even just videos of you guys doing fun stuff in the sun in Australia. That would be depressing for us. Yeah.
I think so. I think we need to have some sort of good stimulant like that. That it's only 6 weeks away until we get to the sun. Like the Darwin run is going back to the temperatures is 33 degrees.
That's going to be a very big shock. Like I'm probably going to have to run in jocks.
It's a 40-degree turnaround from Alaska in 2 months. So Hawaii is probably going to be the same. They'll both be quite hot. Yeah,
that's going to. I wonder how my body, like stuff like that. That is going to be a big test with how the body, like, is the body going to overheat in that? I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, they're the electrolyte days for sure. Compared to
compared to the snow, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Also, make sure you check out Liam's business, Prodigy Fire Solutions. It's going to be all over our van as well. So if you're in America, which I know a lot of you guys are, and in Australia, which also a lot of you guys are,
and Canada, which maybe some are.
Canada, I'd never look out for Canadians on our listenership, but we'll look. And you got wildfire issues?
Hit me up.
Wildfire issues? Hit him up because he can get to work while we're on the road. All right, guys, as always, do something today to be better for tomorrow. We'll give you another update over the next couple of weeks.